What if the reason you feel stuck right now isn't because life is against you, but because you've been trained to expect things to go wrong? Think about it. From the moment a challenge appears, most people prepare for failure, disappointment, or loss. But today, I want to offer you a different way to live, think, and move through this world. A way that doesn't depend on luck, perfect timing, or outside approval. A way rooted in a single powerful decision, to act as if everything always works out. Not someday, not after proof shows up. Right now, this message is for the moments when nothing makes sense, when doors seem closed, when progress feels slow and doubt gets loud. It's for anyone who has ever asked, am I on the right path, or is this even worth it? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't just motivation. It's a shift in how you see problems, pressure, and your own potential. By the end of this video, you won't just feel inspired. You'll understand why calm confidence beats panic, why belief creates momentum, and why the people who win in life think differently long before results appear. If you're ready to stop reacting to life and start directing it, then don't click away. This message might be exactly what you've been waiting for. When you repeatedly assume a certain outcome, especially a positive one, your mind begins to treat that assumption as reality rather than possibility, and this is how the subconscious mind operates. It does not debate, analyze, or question deeply held assumptions. It simply accepts them and works to make them true. Every thought you think repeatedly becomes a mental instruction, and when you act as if everything always works out, you are feeding your subconscious a steady message of confidence, certainty, and expectation of success. Over time, this assumption reshapes your internal programming, influencing how you perceive situations, how you interpret challenges, and how you respond to opportunities. Instead of seeing obstacles as threats, your mind begins to view them as temporary conditions that must contain a solution. This shift happens quietly and gradually, yet it is powerful because the subconscious governs habits, emotional reactions, intuition, and automatic behavior. When your dominant assumption is that things will work out, fear loses its grip, hesitation weakens, and decisive action becomes natural. You begin to notice that you speak with more assurance, make choices with less doubt, and recover more quickly from disappointment. This is not because problems disappear, but because your mind is no longer conditioned to expect defeat. The brain is constantly searching for evidence to support what it already believes, so when you assume favorable outcomes, your awareness becomes sharper toward opportunities, helpful people, creative ideas, and alternative paths that were previously ignored. Acting as if success is inevitable also influences your persistence, because you no longer quit at the first sign of resistance. Quitting does not align with your assumption, so you continue moving forward. The subconscious mind thrives on repetition, emotion, and belief. And when you consistently reinforce the idea that everything works out, you are building an inner environment where resilience becomes automatic. Over time, this mental conditioning affects your results in a very real way, because actions taken from confidence are stronger, more consistent, and more effective than actions taken from fear. Your assumption becomes your inner compass, guiding behavior without force or struggle, shaping decisions before you are even consciously aware of them, and aligning your inner world with outcomes that reflect certainty rather than doubt. Faith always comes before visible results, and this is a principle that governs every meaningful achievement in life, because no outcome can be sustained without belief taking root first. When you decide to act as if everything always works out, you are exercising faith not as blind optimism, but as inner certainty that remains steady even when circumstances offer no proof. This kind of belief creates emotional stability, allowing you to move forward without being controlled by fear, impatience, or external opinions. Most people wait for evidence before they believe, but those who understand this principle reverse the order by believing first and allowing evidence to follow. Faith becomes the fuel that keeps effort alive during periods when progress feels slow or invisible. Without it, doubt weakens persistence and causes people to abandon their goals just before momentum begins to build. Acting with faith reshapes your emotional state, and your emotional state directly influences your decisions, energy, and focus. When belief is strong, effort feels purposeful rather than exhausting, and obstacles are faced with determination instead of resistance. This inner confidence also affects how you interpret delays and setbacks, preventing discouragement from turning into surrender. Faith does not deny difficulty, it refuses to be dominated by it. By holding a deep conviction that outcomes will eventually align in your favor, you train yourself to test commitment, filtering out those who are driven by temporary emotion from those guided by purpose. When you continue forward despite resistance, you reinforce the belief that progress is inevitable. Over time, this belief becomes unshakable because you have experienced firsthand how obstacles often redirect you toward better outcomes than you originally imagined. Acting as if everything works out allows you to walk through adversity without losing direction, confidence, or inner balance, transforming what once appeared as barriers into stepping stones that quietly shape strength, wisdom, and long-term success. Your expectations quietly shape your behavior long before results appear, and this is why the outcomes you experience are often a reflection of what you consistently anticipate. When you act as if everything always works out, your mind naturally aligns your actions with success rather than hesitation. Expectation becomes an internal command that influences how you move, decide, and respond to life. Instead of approaching opportunities with doubt or caution, you approach them with confidence and readiness, which increases the quality and consistency of your efforts. This shift happens almost invisibly because belief does not shout, it guides. When success is expected, procrastination weakens, excuses lose power, and decisive action feels natural rather than forced. You begin to take steps that others avoid because fear no longer dictates your behavior. Bold action does not come from courage alone, but from the quiet assumption that effort will be rewarded. When your expectation is positive, you persist longer, refine strategies faster, and remain open to learning instead of becoming defensive. Acting with the belief that things will work out also sharpens judgment because you are no longer rushed by anxiety or clouded by self-doubt. Clear expectations create mental order, and mental order produces effective action. Your choices become intentional rather than reactive. This alignment between expectation and behavior influences how others respond to you as well, because confidence is communicated through tone, posture, and decision-making. People are naturally drawn to those who move with certainty, and opportunities often follow those who appear prepared to handle them. Expectation also affects how you recover from mistakes. Instead of seeing errors as proof of failure, you view them as part of the process and adjust quickly without losing momentum. This ability to course correct is one of the most powerful advantages of positive expectation. Over time, repeated action driven by confident belief compounds into measurable progress. Small, consistent actions guided by expectation build skill, reputation, and results. Acting as if everything works out does not guarantee ease, but it guarantees movement. And movement creates momentum. As momentum builds, success becomes less about luck and more about alignment between belief, action, and opportunity, reinforcing the truth that what you expect influences how you act, and how you act ultimately shapes what you achieve. Emotional control is the hidden force that determines how effectively you navigate pressure, uncertainty, and unexpected change. And when you act as if everything always works out, you train your emotions to remain steady rather than reactive. Most outcomes are decided not by circumstances themselves, but by the emotional responses they trigger. Panic narrows perception, impatience disrupts judgment, and fear weakens decision-making, but calmness keeps the mind open and resourceful. Acting with the assumption that things will work out creates an emotional baseline of trust, allowing you to think clearly even when situations appear chaotic. This emotional stability does not eliminate challenges, it prevents them from overwhelming you. When emotions are regulated, your attention stays focused on solutions rather than problems. You become capable of evaluating situations objectively instead of exaggerating risks or imagining worst-case scenarios. This state of inner balance improves timing, communication, and strategic thinking. Emotional control also preserves energy. Anxiety drains mental and physical strength, while calm confidence conserves it, enabling sustained effort over time. When pressure arises, those who lack emotional discipline react impulsively, while those who trust the process respond deliberately. Acting as if everything works out reinforces patience, because urgency rooted in fear is replaced with purposeful action rooted in belief. This patience allows you to wait without frustration, move without rushing, and adjust without resistance. Emotional mastery also strengthens resilience, because setbacks no longer trigger discouragement or self-doubt. Instead, they are processed as temporary disruptions that do not define the final outcome. This mindset creates adaptability, one of the most valuable traits in any environment. When you are emotionally grounded, you can pivot strategies, accept feedback, and make corrections without feeling threatened. People who maintain emotional control under pressure often appear confident and capable, which influences how others treat them and increases trust and cooperation. Acting as if everything always works out reshapes your emotional habits, turning calmness into a default response rather than a forced effort. Over time, this emotional discipline becomes automatic, allowing you to remain composed during uncertainty and focused during challenge, transforming pressure into clarity and difficulty into opportunity. Consistency is the force that transforms belief from a temporary feeling into a permanent state of being, and when you repeatedly act as if everything always works out, that belief becomes embedded into your identity. Occasional optimism has little power, but sustained expectation combined with disciplined action reshapes behavior at a deep level. Each time you choose faith over doubt and action over hesitation, you reinforce a pattern that strengthens with repetition. The mind learns through consistency, and what is practiced daily becomes automatic. When belief is maintained over time, it no longer requires effort or motivation. It becomes your natural response to life. Acting consistently with positive expectation aligns thoughts, habits, and decisions into a single direction, eliminating internal conflict. This alignment creates momentum, and momentum simplifies progress because fewer choices are wasted on fear or indecision. Consistency also builds trust within yourself. When you repeatedly show up, follow through, and persist despite uncertainty, your confidence grows from experience rather than imagination. This self-trust fuels discipline, making it easier to stay committed even when enthusiasm fades. Over time, disciplined action compounds, producing results that may seem sudden to others but are actually the product of sustained effort. Acting as if everything works out does not mean ignoring reality. It means responding to reality with steadiness and purpose every single day. Small actions performed consistently carry more power than dramatic efforts made sporadically. Each step forward reinforces belief, and each reinforced belief strengthens action. This cycle continues until success becomes predictable rather than accidental. Consistency also sharpens focus because repeated effort clarifies what works and what does not, allowing refinement instead of randomness. As this process continues, belief transitions into certainty, and certainty influences outcomes because it removes hesitation from decision-making. When you remain consistent in thought and action, your environment begins to respond, not because of chance, but because reliability attracts opportunity. Over time, what began as an assumption evolves into a lived reality, shaped by disciplined repetition, unwavering belief, and steady action that quietly turns expectation into achievement. As we come to the close of this message, remember that acting as if everything always works out is not a denial of reality, but a mastery of it. When you choose this mindset, you train your thoughts, emotions, and actions to move in harmony rather than conflict. You stop giving power to fear, doubt, and temporary setbacks, and instead place your faith in persistence, clarity, and inner strength. This way of thinking reshapes how you face challenges, how you respond under pressure, and how consistently you move toward your goals. Life will always present uncertainty, but your assumption determines whether that uncertainty becomes an obstacle or an opportunity. When belief leads, action follows, and when action is guided by confidence, results are only a matter of time. Carry this principle with you daily, especially in moments when doubt tries to speak louder than faith, and you will discover that the world responds differently to those who refuse to surrender their certainty. Good luck on your journey, stay committed to your vision, and never underestimate the power of your mindset. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and may every step you take move you closer to the life you know is meant for you.